Hello there. Come here, my little friend. Don't be afraid. Christ, it always comes back to a Star Wars quote, doesn't it? Pathetic. You know, I saw Star Wars when it came out in 1977 over 40 times in the theater that summer. This is pre-home video. Not proud of it. I was 10. It's just a fact. Well, anyway, here we are with podcast number 2 of the Pretentious Movie Snobs, and this one happens to be mostly Star Wars free, so fear not. What it is not free of is a lot of talk about Life of Pi, the Oscars, and various and sundry other topics of or relating to cinema. So...
Put your weight on it! 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 Put your weight on it!
Voulez-vous waity on iti. That's it.
You're so full of shit.
I don't much care for movies, really.
I don't want to die either, baby, but if I have to, I'm going to die last. If you don't like this podcast, you could just drop it off at the fire department with no questions asked. You don't have to just, don't throw it in the trash can.
Benedict Cumberbatch.
What the hell's going on with my TV? 2 white dudes, 1 black chick. Your reverse Oreo of cinematic pontification. The Pretentious Movie Snobs. And we're back. Wow. I still like that intro.
It gives me kind of a warm feeling.
Something beeped over there.
I'm sorry. That was my phone.
So, well, we made it back for another one. We're now on iTunes already.
It's astounding. We have at least one subscriber.
At least one subscriber by the name of me. And I don't know how many we have, but we had quite a few downloads, so this is good.
That's good. Yeah.
And I think this show is going to go a little better because we're a little more relaxed, and we'll try to stick to the rails a little bit.
I'm glad you're confident about that, Dave, because I think it's going to be a disaster.
Yeah, because let's see. Oh, you know, for this new one, I'm going to introduce our new catchphrase.
Well, why don't we introduce ourselves to start out, Mr. Smith?
Yeah. I'm Dave Smith of the Pretentious Movie Snobs, and this other fellow is...
Kent Conrad, editor of theexplodedgoat.com. Not theexplodedgoat.com, but explodedgoat.com. Film reviewer and Pretentious Movie Snob.
And we have Kimberly Blagrove on the other end.
Kimberly Blagrove.
Do you want to plug your blog, Kimmy?
I guess I could. I mean, it's not movie related, but it's still fun. It's travel related. It's
cinematic in its scope, though.
It is. Yeah. Thank you for that, Kent. It just documents all of my travels. If you look onto WordPress, you'll look for Nappy Wanderer, and you'll find a lot of stuff on Paris, a lot of stuff on food, and other places. But sign up, subscribe, and that's it.
I do. Good, and we can say that, did we say that Kimberly is trilingual, or maybe even quadrilingual? I don't know how many lingual you are.
How many lingual?
I know you speak a few, English, Spanish, and French, right?
She's quite the cunning linguist.
Yes.
Stop.
Anything else?
A little bit of Italian.
Molto bene, molto bene.
Molto bene. The more I use it, the easier it is. So, I do use my languages, and I do translations. And other stuff.
All right, well, maybe you can say our new catchphrase in those languages, too, because our new catchphrase is actually a lovely little ditty from a movie that I love to watch sometimes called The Avenging Disco Godfather. It's a so bad it's good movie. Mm-hmm. And that phrase would be, put your weight on it. So I want every podcast for us to put our weight on it, Kimmy and Kent. Yeah, Kent and I have a lot of weight to put on things.
We do. We're
got
massive.
Some weight too. I got the Christmas holidays have added some, so I'm with you guys. But let me do my Spanish is puto you waito on ito.
No, that's Italian. You can't fool me.
You caught me. It's a combination between Spanish and Italian. Puto your weight on ito.
Okay, how about the Francais?
Voulez-vous waiti on iti. That's it.
You're so full of shit. Okay.
You don't believe me? Come on.
Well, we're gonna put our weight on it today. We really are. We're gonna go deep on the Life of Pi. Sorry, I misspoke. It's Life of Pi, not the Life of Pi. Just like
article free.
Yeah. And so first, though, I think we're going to talk about. We started to say what it meant to be a movie snob and why people might want to be a movie snob. We're going to go a little more in depth about how you, if you wanted to, could be a movie snob, and how you can train yourself to be more discerning, a more discerning viewer.
It'll have the lovely effect of making the things you used to like terrible.
That's an added bonus, and we'll talk about some Oscar nominations a little bit. And we're going to, like I said, we'll get into some Life of Pi. And Kent and I actually talked a lot about it last night, and because he was over and we had cigars. So
is that what they're calling it these days?
Yes, and that's I'd rather.
Is
not
that
say.
A euphemism?
I'd rather not say.
A big cigar or a small cigar? Let's move on.
They were girthy.
It was a perfectly serviceable cigar. There's nothing wrong with it. You can't make fun of it. It did what it had to do.
I'm glad you guys had fun last night. But
and then maybe near the end, we'll probably each I think each of us may have a thing we wanted to bring up, and then we'll close after that. We might have a personal, sort of a snob corner, if you will. Each person may, if you have anything, that'll be the time to bring it up. Old business, new business, that kind of thing.
Were we catching up? So the old business is at the end then?
Yeah, we'll put it at the end. At the end we'll talk about whatever personal thing you wanted to speak about from last week that we didn't get to or whatever. But what I wanted to talk about first with you guys is, did we learn anything from last week's podcast? I think I did.
Did I talk completely through my nose half the time?
Do share.
Did you learn? Everybody probably thought that their voice sucked.
I didn't.
Okay, I think you both have good pod voices, and I think I'm hoping I'm sticking to it already. I made a vow to giggle less while you guys are speaking. It was really annoying listening to the hour of me going while you guys are speaking. It's terrible.
I think the thing I know that I need to work on is I'm not going to be graded for this, so I could maybe notch down the academic talk a little.
No, but that's what makes you sound so smart, and then that makes us sound smart. So please keep that up.
I don't say a thing though. It's just words.
It's just.
You're gonna ratchet down the pretentiosity. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
which would be a weird. Actually, that's weird for the pretentious movie snobs to.
That's what I was
lower
about
the
to say,
pretentiousness.
No, we need you. That's
Maybe
what makes us
I'm
pretentious.
wrong.
I was about to say that, Mister. Yeah, it'd be weird. So we all learned a little bit, and hopefully we're better men and women for it.
I didn't learn a damn thing. But can I ask you, since we're moving on with this whole movie snob, I think I had asked you this already. What to you is a pretentious movie snob? Why is it a good thing to be a movie snob? What's the criteria? Please share.
I'm glad you asked that, Kimberly. Actually, I throw the word in pretentious as a bit of self-deprecation because I don't really think I'm that pretentious. Pretentious is generally a negative thing. But I mean pretentious movie snob in a kind of a cutesy, fun way, in that pretentious, movie snobs, there should be more of us, because eventually, if there's enough of us, Hollywood will stop making total shit movies that they just don't, they're not really trying, they just know that we can get this many asses in the seats, and we don't give a shit about making interesting stories. We'll make our money back with this, and we don't give a crap. If people become more discerning in general, that'll never happen, by the way. If people become more discerning in general, maybe we can get rid of things like Jack and Jill. I haven't seen that, but I hear it's just a travesty, and it's a holocaust for your ears and eyes. I actually want to see it because it seems like it might be so bad it's good. I don't know. Anybody see that?
I think you asked a good question. I just jumped in there because I need to go on my own pretentious movie snob diatribe.
Yeah, why don't you take the ball right now and tell us a little more about why should you be more discerning? Actually, we should start about maybe people are interested. Yeah, Dave and Kent and Kimberly, I would like to be more discerning. How do I do that?
Well, the first thing you need to do is recognize that if you're watching something, let's say Transformers 3, and you can tell that it's bad, but you don't necessarily know why. That's why we're here to help. We're going to try and give you the skills based on the benefit of our experience of being pretentious and snobbish for a very long time, years even, and so that when you see something is terrible, you don't just think, oh, that sucked, or oh, that was pretty good, but you maybe have a better idea why you liked it, why the subconscious part of your brain is telling you that it's good. You can explore that a little more and maybe build a kind of vocabulary, build a sort of set of tools with which you can take apart the movie and see, oh, that's why I liked X or Y, or oh, that's why that was a misshapen, pandering bucket of goat crap.
There anything to add, Kimberly?
Well, actually, I wanted to back things up when we were talking about what we learned from last week's podcast. There's one, I don't know if it's a problem, but once you become a movie snob, there's no turning back. I think that's the biggest problem. For example, perfect example, last week Kent had mentioned when he was younger, he had loved the Ewoks. And then as he had gotten older, he enjoyed it more when he found out that the Ewoks had died. So
Love was dead.
What's that?
Yeah. Love was dead.
Exactly. So again, things that you might enjoy at one point when, prior to becoming a movie snob, you will never enjoy again unless they're so bad that they're so good.
True.
Kind of thing. So,
True, but I find that I have to put my kid goggles back on in order to enjoy those sometimes, and I will, But yeah, exactly. Yeah, point taken. Yeah, I was going to say, I have studied screenwriting and filmmaking here and there. I don't have a degree in it. I studied a little bit, and my teacher used to say, he's very interesting, very good teacher. He used to say that you don't just movies aren't just thrown together like a good meal. There is a recipe. You can't just throw all the ingredients into a pot and have them taste good. You have to add this at this point. You have to add this much of this at another point. You have to cook it for this long. And then that's when the flavors start to mingle, and then you have a satisfying meal. You can't just throw it all in there. And that's sometimes you get that when you're at the movies. They throw all the elements in, but they didn't put the right smidgen of this or this pinch of that in the right place. And I was going to say, I'm going to start off with he used to say you can't really learn screenwriting from a body that's been in a train wreck, so you shouldn't watch crappy movies to learn how to write movies and try to fix them. You should watch good movies first and see, this is how you do it. But anyway, I'm going to go against that and start talking really quick about a movie that's a very iconic movie, and people might like it, but it never appears on anyone's top 100 or even 200 or even 300 lists, I don't think, and that's Urban Cowboy. Mm-hmm. It's very iconic because it kicked off, John Travolta, of course, big star, but it kicked off this big line dancing movement, and they had the mechanical bull at Gillies. The arena that it took place in was interesting, right? Mm-hmm. So and John Travolta in the cowboy garb, it became a big thing. I think it made a lot of money, but it's kind of, no one thinks about it right now, and there's really only one thing that they screwed up, but it's a big thing, and that is they forgot to make us like John Travolta. Oops. Because the audience doesn't really like him, he's a dick. He actually smacks Deborah Winger at one point, and he's not empathetic at all. We don't, he's skilled at riding the bull. He's a good dancer. Fine, we'll watch him dance, but he's a dick, and he's a dick throughout the entire movie. He's a jealous dick, and because Deborah Winger wants him, we think she's a dick. And the whole movie really is them, kind of getting together, breaking up. They run off and get married at the end, and you're like, yeah, that ain't going to last 2 weeks. I don't care,
But you liked the movie.
No, actually I don't. But a lot of people did because of the arena that it took place in. Mm-hmm. And John Travolta, they thought people might like it, but they probably wouldn't call it up as one of their favorites, or it doesn't appear on anyone's favorite list. That's what I'm saying. So that's something you could think of when you're watching the movie. Why don't I care? Why do I just want to get up and go home? They might have made you not care about the character, and I was going to talk about things like A Clockwork Orange. You've seen this one, you guys?
Yeah, it's been a while.
This is a reprehensible, awful person at the beginning, but he is so fascinating that you're like, I want to see this character all the way to the end of this movie. I'm not leaving.
I couldn't watch it all the way through. It was too disturbing.
I know a lot of women who have trouble with the gang rape sequence. I don't know. Is that something that bothered you?
Yeah, maybe. It was not. I mean, I can still watch it. I can't bring myself to watch all of it. But but that's a good point. If I can interject, there are many people that say that you don't need to write a perfect character or a likable character. They do have to have some, quality that you can kind of empathize with. But it's the actor's job to make that character likable. Like, for example, Jack Nicholson. He's kind of lovable, but his characters maybe aren't the nicest people. He can be an ass. So is it really the actor's job to make the characters likable, or is it the screenwriter's job, or is it a combination of the two?
Yeah, it should be on the page right from the beginning. Very early on. You need to set the hook. The audience needs to either be fascinated by this person, be empathetic with this person. We got to connect with that person in some way. I mean, or even if it's a super a-hole person, they have to be done in such a way that you want to stick to the end to see them go to jail or get killed.
Right. Okay.
Kent, do you have any? Did you want to jump in?
No.
You're just mesmerized by my flim flammer?
It is, yeah. I'm also, the audience doesn't know this, but we have video of each other, and you two are just so beautiful.
I was going to say, I love looking at your faces as well. It's really nice.
I'm rather harshly lit on my video screen.
I know. Well, that's the thing. It's compelling. It's not necessarily attractive, but I want to watch it. Much like a sort of anti-hero character, a sort of person who might be doing things you don't approve of, but they are such a compellingly drawn person. That's what the harsh light is doing to you.
Yeah.
And that's the sort of thing. In fact, I think that's a little overplayed in some modern cinema, or the notion that you don't have to make someone likable means that we want to watch assholes being assholes to each other, and that's not ever really the case. Mm-hmm. It's difficult to do anything with that sort of milieu and make it so that you care.
Well, I'm going to throw one character, one that I know that Dave is very fond of. Someone like House. I don't watch House. From what I understand, House is not a very likable character, but for some reason you're fond of him. What is?
Well, yeah. See, now I think he's a compelling character because he is extremely skilled. Although, if you listen to Dr. Drew, like the Adam Carolla show, or Dr. Drew's show, many of his shows talk about the stuff that Dr. House says is absolutely med school 101. Like every intern will know all the things he's saying. So they kind of, obviously we're watching, we don't know this, but any intern first year med student would know all the things that he's rattling off and would probably diagnose the same way he's doing. But since they're playing to a non-medical audience, but other than that, yeah, he's a compelling character because he's super duper smart, and he's super skilled. Everybody else respects him, and he always saves lives at the end. But he does have that. Yeah, he's a curmudgeon. He's a little bit of an a-hole, but he wants to save their lives, and we can respect that. So that's why he's a compelling character, I think.
That works. I have to say one thing before I forget. This was about what we had learned from last week. Benedict Cumberbatch. So I looked him up because I didn't know who he was. And do you know what? I actually know who he was because I saw him in Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. And I liked his role there. I'm not, goo goo gaga over him, but he's a good actor. He's a fine actor, and you're right. It's a lovely, a lovely.
It's a great British name. You haven't seen him in Sherlock?
You know what? I recognized him from Sherlock from commercials, but no, I've never seen him in Sherlock. But I bet you he's fantastic in Sherlock. And I would watch him.
Yes.
After you guys mentioned him, I actually a day or two later, I happened to wake up thinking that name popped into my head, Benedict Cumberbatch, and I was thinking. You know what that name sounds to me more like is like maybe in Hobbit history. He was the Hobbit who was fighting for the hobbits, but he became a traitor and left and fought for Sauron. So the Hobbit. So I say, you Benedict Cumberbatch. Much like our Benedict Arnold. That's all I was thinking.
Cumberbatch. I love that. That's a good. It's a fine British name.
It's a very Hobbity name, I think.
See, I'm feeling mad at him now. Going to Mordor, helping out the orcs. Probably helped in the siege of Minas Tirith, or maybe
it's too
his
geeky.
His name is forever besmirched.
Yeah, you guys. I love it though. Thank you for educating me and introducing me to Benedict Cumberbatch. All right, so we should continue. We were talking about being a snob, and
another thing you could try to look for when you're watching a movie is, so you try to when you find yourself being moved by a movie and really liking it, really ask yourself why. And a good way to find out why is usually you have to really start out with a good character that's going to have something like the movies always happen to a character for a reason. He or she had to have this movie happen to him in order to work out some problem that he has or something that he needs to achieve. He needs to grow in some way. That's why they get these movies, and they never want it to happen, but that's what they need to fix whatever is wrong with the character. Characters always have a skill and a flaw. The flaw is worked out through the arc usually, but you should ask yourself, like, take a snapshot at the beginning. I'm borrowing a little of this from Blake Snyder's Save the Cat. He talks about opening image and closing image. Very important. It's a really good way to understand. It's like, who was this character in the opening scenes, and who is he at the end of the scenes? I think the Gray is a perfect example of a great arc. Did you guys see the Gray? I don't know if you Kent had seen it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you've seen the Gray, I can't really do too much of a spoiler, but the character really does a 180 from his opening scenes. He's a super depressed guy with a gun in his mouth in the openings.
This is Liam Neeson's character.
Liam Neeson, yeah, right. But by the end, whole different story, and that's a good way to see. Yes, there was a great arc here, and I don't want to get too far into that movie, but opening images and closing images really help you think about. Help you contextualize what you just saw, and if you don't, like I said, if you can, I've gotten up and left in movies 3/4 of the way through because I'm like, well, I don't give a shit, and it's usually because they didn't set it up right. I don't care about there's no tension because I don't care about the character and yada yada.
It seems like you're a firm believer of the formula, and I can see why and I understand why. I have seen certain movies that follow that formula, but for whatever reason, something is missing. You know what? It's like too formulaic. I don't know what it is, but it's missing something. But I do agree that they should follow some type of a formula for being organized.
Yeah. A lot of cliche, really. When you just do the formula, you start with cliche. Usually, even when you're thinking about how the movie's going to go, you usually write down the cliche version first, and you start tweaking things because Kent and I were talking about this. People really do want to see the same thing over and over again. I ripped on Hollywood for wanting to make the same movie over and over again, but we, as an audience, we really do want to see the same thing over and over again in a way, but we want you to give us the same exact thing in a radically different way and surprise us. That's what we kind of want. So Hollywood's trying to do that because that's what we want.
Yeah. Well, they need to do it differently.
And I guess what we're trying to do here at the Pretentious Movie Snobs is to help you become more discerning and recognize whether or not your lizard brain, the piece of you that needs stories, is being fed. To put it in a kind of a tagline sort of way, I think what we're trying to do is to get you, the listener, to stop being a consumer and be a digester.
Ooh, that's deep, Kent.
I'm
out.
Digester.
Peace. You drop your microphone, walk off the stage. Tell us about the girls behind you in the theater for Life of Pi, Kent. They are obvious lizard brains, lowbrow LB lizard brains.
Yeah, I saw Life of Pi, and it made me realize that most of the modern audiences deserve the paranormal activities and Transformer movies that they get because they're horrible people. You're awful. All of you. Oh, not all of you, but most of you. I was watching Life of Pi. Life of Pi is a movie by Ang Lee. I'm segueing into the whole Life of Pi discussion now. I'm taking the reins.
Go ahead, take it by the ball.
It's based on an award-winning book by Yann Martel. It's about an Indian boy who is very inquisitive and curious about religion, and he goes on an experience that he claims anyone who hears what he has to say and understands it will believe in God afterwards. And so it's about his adventure, or what the log line of the movie is about a boy who gets shipwrecked or who is in a disaster, and he's on a life raft with a tiger, with a Bengal tiger. So that anyhow, it's I think you could describe it as a spiritual movie. It's a very visual movie. There's several scenes with no dialogue, and where you're just kind of overwhelmed by these beautiful images. And these friggin' little girls, I think they're about 12. I don't know. I'm not allowed to look at 12-year-olds. They were sitting about 2 rows behind. Is that because of the
restraining order?
It's less of a restraining order and more just, it's like common law. They got my picture. Anyway. And anytime there was not dialogue in a scene, they had to chatter. And chatter. It's
why? Let me interject you, because they think when there's no talking, that means the movie is fucking paused because of this goddamn DVD generation. You kids. Sorry, go ahead.
You're sounding old.
Go on.
Young whippersnappers.
But I'm not one of those people who thinks that you can only have the cinematic experience sitting in the theater with an audience around you all having the same thing, because 98% of them aren't even frickin' watching.
So why even go?
Do it at home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you should try to go to a theater like the ArcLight in Hollywood, where it's a little more expensive. Kind of keeps out the riffraff a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
So they're more there to see the movie. And by the way, you girls, if you're listening, which I know you're not, you're probably talking right now. But if all girls like you who like to talk in theaters, you 13-year-olds, I want you to focus now on that you're slightly overweight, and that you don't look like the girls that are on the screen or on TV, and you need to diet very hardcore.
You stop.
Don't eat.
Stop.
You're
Okay.
ugly.
Young
And
girls
you're
ugly.
Do not listen
Actually,
to
girls,
these guys.
on your
Do not
Facebook
listen
profile,
to
I
these
thought your
guys.
left eye looks pretty good.
What's that?
The left eye looks pretty good in the pictures in their Facebook profile. Yeah, you could work on the rest of yourself, though.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know
Just
what?
a little bit off the ass. A little bit off the ass.
Ignore everything, ladies, young girls that you are hearing. They are talking out of their asses right now.
I'm only talking about girls who talk in the
I
theater.
think it's very important that the self-esteem of the coming generations drops through the floor because they haven't done anything.
Well, it's obviously a problem with their self-esteem, which is why they have these issues. So I
No,
think
they have
maybe
too
we
much.
should work- They
think
believe
they
do.
think whatever the hamster in their brain is chattering about is important.
Oh my
It's not.
Oh my goodness.
You're probably not. The chatter that's coming out of this podcast, though, is important, so you got to be listening to that.
Of course.
So, Life of Pi. You know what? By the way, before we get into Life of Pi, very beautiful movie. Would you guys agree? Did you see it in 3D?
I was going to ask, actually, Kent. I know you did, Dave.
I did.
I did not. I'd wanted to, but it ended up not being a 3D movie.
I saw it in 3D. I don't know if I'm the best audience for 3D. It doesn't work very well for me. I never see stuff popping out of the screen. I just see greater separation. Maybe it's just an optical thing with me. Every time I've seen a movie in 3D.
I think I see the depth, but I was going to say I think it's just visually stunning, mesmerizing, if you will. And if the Academy does not vote for this movie to win the Oscar, I'm going to go to my friend Ed Wilbert's house, he's the grandson of Robert Burks, who won an Oscar for doing Hitchcock movies. He was a cinematographer. I'm going to get that Oscar, and I'm going to roll it in crazy glue and dip it in cat litter, and I'm going to anally penetrate every member of the Academy if they do not vote for this movie. That's how strongly I feel. There, I've said it.
You've got some strange issues, David Smith. I just, penetration. You know what? I'm not even going to go into it. But
anyway, that being said.
Yeah. On that, let's just move on. But it's not a bad movie. It's quite good. It's beautiful. I'm just teasing. I can see the look on Dave's face.
My jaw is in my lap.
I know. It's a beautiful movie. I mean, Ang Lee.
And not for the reasons you're thinking.
Oh my God. Okay. But I mean, Ang Lee also had done the, Brokeback Mountain. I mean, he's very good with nature and images and I think he's a very skilled storyteller, and I think that he did a great job. I do think he deserved his nomination. Do you think he's actually going to win?
I like to think so. I think Lincoln's kind of going to sweep things. We could talk more about some of the other nominations after we get done with this one too. But your general impression of the movie, you liked it a lot, or you just liked it?
It was all right. No, I'm joking.
It's all right?
It's all right. No, I thought it was a very beautiful movie. I thought the acting was terrific. You know what I'm worried about, to be perfectly honest? This is the second movie where we've had maybe a young Indian actor with not much experience, has a beautiful, beautiful performance. And, Hollywood is probably thinking, okay, what's that next movie that we can, find that next new Indian breakout star and come out with some type of formula.
This kid should have been nominated and was not, I'll have you know.
I'm surprised that he wasn't. He did a phenomenal job. I don't think he would beat Daniel Day-Lewis, but
no, he's a shoo-in this time.
Under any other circumstance, this, and he's a young actor, and then there's also that young girl who's like 2. I mean, she's 7. But no, I thought he did a phenomenal job. The movie was beautiful. I think it had a terrific message, and it was very touching. So definitely, I think it was a great movie, and I enjoyed it. And how long was it about? Was it 126 minutes? It was about 2 hours.
It was about 2 hours exactly, not counting the credits. I
tipped over a little over 2 hours.
And it wasn't slow. It didn't drag at all. And I think actually what I found was fascinating is I did read up on it, and I guess there were very few scenes. I don't think there were, and I think there might have only been one scene where the protagonist, the main character, was with that tiger. I mean, he was never on the boat with the tiger.
There's exactly, I think, 23 shots in the entire movie where it's a real tiger and everything else is computer graphics.
And I think that's so terrific that they can make a movie like. I mean, they couldn't make a movie like this before. I almost think it would have been too dangerous. So, the skill involved to make it look so realistic, I think it's just stunning. I thought it was.
Yeah, I've read the novel on which it was based, and I was surprised that it's a very internal novel. There's a voiceover through a lot of the movie because there's a framing story. It's a story of the Indian man telling about when he was a boy and this experience happened to him. And so I was surprised that they didn't express everything that was going on in his mind and spiritually in this adventure entirely through narration. They did a lot of it visually. With not only montages, but the images of the boat on the ocean with the reflection from above and coming below. So it's like he's moving through the cosmos.
Yes,
well, he's going on the spiritual journey while going through his physical journey.
Well, you know what I think troubled me most about the movie is, in a way, I mean, again, there were two stories told. I'm not going to give anything away, but this horrific experience, whichever is the real story, this young boy has gone through a horrific experience, and he has had to kind of conjure up certain images or draw upon his faith in order to get through it. I mean, over 200 days? I mean, that takes a lot of mental strength to get through that, regardless of what really happened. And I mean, to see him, this peaceful man and who he had become, I thought it was a beautiful arc, it was a beautiful transformation. So yeah,
I think that's the most important thing about it is that arc, that the like you're saying, the would you say, or the message of the movie, the theme, I think is absolutely fantastic. That's why it edged out Django for me as my favorite movie, kind of, of the year, because I think it's a super important type of story to tell, because super life-affirming and actually very religious story, which is unusual for Hollywood to give so many accolades. Very religious story. But I am not a religious person at all, but I'm not spiritual either, but I love stories, and to me the Bible is stories. Humans pass wisdom down through stories. They pass knowledge and facts down through science, but they pass wisdom down through stories. Even, you remember all the characters' names in this movie. Remember, they all had whimsical little stories that were about their names. Remember the uncle who had the big chest. He was a big-chested guy, and they had a story about how he had water in his lungs, and his dad twirled him around by his feet, and that's why all the weight went to his top. Now, regardless of whether or not you believe that, it's a beautiful little image to associate with that guy. When you see him, you're like, you're calling up that image.
I want to know how they found a guy.
Yeah, was he CG with those lats?
Well, I think what's really unique and kind of beautiful about the movie is it's not just about a crisis of faith, which a lot of religious movies are. They're about set up. I'm a guy. I'm in this religion, or I'm not in this religion, and then X experience happens to me, and it challenges everything I used to know. It is really about the value of religion and how his experience was filtered through his religious sensibility, which is more sophisticated than a lot of filmic discussions of religion.
Yeah,
absolutely. And if this character had gone through this, remember he was reading the books on how to survive, at sea, but for that kind of, he was out. Yeah, what was it, 200 days you said about? I mean, you can't just survive thinking I am a biological organism and I need water and you need something else to hang your hat on to get through something like that.
Exactly.
And he but this is a metaphor for life, really. It's not. But by the end of your life, you want to have imagined, I think, a life more like through sort of religious goggles, not religious, but like a story. You lived a story, not just, I lived this many thousands of days and I ate this much food. Look how many pounds of sugar I ate, and I had 3 children. But there's stories about that you're going to really want to remember when you're laying on that deathbed. I was gonna say the key to really understanding it for me, I was thinking, why is his name Pi? Why is it called Pi?
Right, but you know why?
Hmm?
You know why? I mean, you're talking about the real reason, not
factually. I'm wondering why.
I'm
Wondering why the writer would choose. Let's call him Pi. Even his name was Piscine something. He was named after a French swimming pool, right? What was it? What was it again?
Piscine Molitor.
Thank you, French lady.
Yeah.
It means
Pissing.
what again?
It was the piscine is French for swimming pool. So the Molitor was the name of the place where this piscine was.
So
but then they would call pissing.
So his name really is swimming pool.
Yeah.
Okay.
His name is swimming pool.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, because the Indian god Vishnu, he's like drifting on a river, and his dream is the universe. He opens his eyes, the universe is born. He closes his eyes, the universe goes out of being. That kind of thing. Just imagery that's called up because of these things is great.
And
go ahead.
water is a sign of spirituality also. And I have to disagree with you where I don't think it's a religious movie because it's not trying to latch on to any specific religion. I mean, is just what the father had said, that, choosing many religions is the same as not choosing one at all. So I believe it's finding that spirituality, regardless of what religion you need to get there, you need to find your faith somehow.
Yeah. Well, his father tried to kind of beat the religion out of not beat the religion, but he tried to get it out of him. He was he had polio, and his Western science saved me.
Yeah, but he wanted him, if he wanted to, just to choose one. I guess I think he thought that
he wanted him to be reasoned. He think things through without he was sort of he was not this kid had the reason he was even. The reason he survived this shipwreck is because of his curiosity about the world. He wanted to be on deck and be a part of the storm that could kill him. His dad would have said, "Don't go out there. You're gonna fucking get killed." That's why he survived the
But
thing.
it saved him. Yeah.
Anyway, let's get back to why is his name Pi? Why does it get shortened to Pi? Here's my take on this, and it helped me understand the movie, is because a circle is a very simple, beautiful, natural thing the human eye can grasp. It's beautiful. The sun, when it's dipping below the horizon, circle. The moon is a circle. Try to express that mathematically, and it's a bunch of infinite string of numbers that make no sense. You can't do it. It's really just a thing of beauty that humans can intuitively grasp. That's
it's by it's. I mean, pi is an irrational number by definition. It's something that goes on and on and on, without limits. With you have to shorten it. You have to contextualize it before it can be useful.
I'd just like to say that is the second time the word contextualize has been used in the podcast.
I heard Dave said it, and I felt jealous. I wanted to use the $10 word. I wanted to be the is it the abecedarian? No, that's the wrong word.
ABC what?
But no, I'm thinking of a different word. Is it sesquipedalian?
Sesquigenarian?
Well, again, it was a fine movie, and I think Ang Lee did a terrific job, and he definitely deserves. We'll see if he gets it for best movie. I hope he does. But there are Argo. I haven't watched Argo yet. That got great reviews as well. So, have you seen either of you seen Argo yet?
I did not see Argo. It's on my list. Oh, okay.
Sesquipedalian.
That's not going to make any sense now since I cut the part out where you...
I know, you're going to cut this out too, and I just jammed over there. Sorry.
What's a
were we finished talking about Life
Using
of Pi?
big words.
Hold the Argo thought, though.
Okay, yeah, we'll have to
I
talk
just
about
scratched inside
Make sure
my
you
nose.
remember the Argo thought.
All right.
Life of Pi... I wish Hollywood would really understand the importance of storytelling. I think it's super important to remember this.
Absolutely.
And like I said, to me, religion is just stories. Religious people think those stories actually happened. I happen to think that the more fantastical ones did not happen, but they are there to teach, and they do a better job of teaching.
It's a metaphor, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, I think the Garden of Eden myth is actually one of my favorite ones because it really, I don't think it happened the way it's in there. It's written in the Old Testament, but it certainly is, I think, the story of the first human beings because, as far as we know, animals that aren't human do not understand their own mortality. They don't really know that they're going to die. And we probably did not in our evolution until a certain point. Those were the Adam and Eve people who suddenly went, oh, that's eating the knowledge, the tree of knowledge of good and evil, I guess, but the tree of knowledge. That's you're taking a bite of that. You're tossed out of the garden. You don't belong there anymore, because you now know that the world does not revolve around you. Things are not. You're on your own, pal. And it's important that Eve gives the apple. Sorry, it's not an apple. It's fruit. It's never
true.
said that it's an apple.
Might have been a pomegranate.
Could have been. It was knowledge. That was the fruit they made. But it's important that she eats it first and then gives it to him, because man enters life through woman. They're not born yet. They're not in this world at that point. But that's why I like that story a lot. It is the story of the first truly human people told in metaphor. So that's why stories are so interesting. Damn it! And that's how we pass wisdom.
Here's the problem, and I'm gonna be religion. The stories are beautiful. I agree with you as well. I think they're great reading. The problem is that sometimes these stories have been manipulated or changed in order to manipulate the masses, and that's where the problem is that some of these stories might have been different, and I think they might have even been based on some bit of truth, but then they have been, changed around in order to manipulate people, in order to, whatever the king. And they do say that certain religions, the gods, the number of gods depends on, let's say in a monarchy, there's only one god. So it's usually used to mirror the governing body. So in a traditional, and if there is a government where there is a king, then usually the religion would mirror that, and there would only be one god. Whereas in India, they would have, multiple gods. So I do feel that they do make up religion so that it is relatable, or it'll mirror the type of government that they want, a governing body that they want. And I have problems with that. I do believe it should just be seen as great storytelling with little lessons that people should learn. And I don't feel people should force these, beliefs onto people, or try to interpret it and force that interpretation onto others.
Are you saying the religious story reader and story reader should be more discerning and be a story religious snob like us movie snobs? That's what I'm saying. You got to be discerning. Exactly.
Great tie-in. Yes.
Your God wants you to murder infidels, and then you get to bang 72 virgins?
Thank you.
That's where you need to be a little more discerning. Or so your wife wasn't a virgin when you married her, so the men of the village can take her to the door of her father's house and stone her to death. No.
Wait,
this is one of the stories we can shit can.
See, there you and I, Dave, we were going to have massive disagreements, but I think they're outside the scope of the program.
That's true. I mean, we're not really. I guess we should go back to what we were speaking about. So wait, are we finished with Pi, or is it? What are we saying here? We all enjoyed it. We think
enjoyed
it's a great
it,
movie.
and I think it was a quite a moving experience for me, seeing it in 3D especially, because some of these set piece sequences were astonishing, like that flying fish sequence with the
gorgeous.
Oh boy, there's just so many great things in this movie going on. That glowing krill when the whale breaches. Oh my God. And it made me want to buy a 3D television. And I eventually will, I'm sure. But
I'm surprised you don't have one yet.
Really? Wow. Well, the wife says no, but when she says yes, boy, I can't wait for my current TV to shit the bed, because boy, I'm really gonna go to town on a new one. But
it's too bad they're pretty well made these days. Yeah.
What?
They're pretty well made. They last a long time. These days.
These fucking LCD. It's gonna outlive me, for crap's sake.
It's true, but
Maybe
no,
it should meet with an accident, eh, Kent?
Uh-oh.
That was a little fish called Wanda reference.
I love the fish. That was Kevin, what's his name? His last name?
Klein.
Kevin Klein. That was his character. He was
John
making
Cleese,
fun of, was it Michael Palin? He was making fun of.
Michael Palin was
making fun of a stutterer.
Yes.
So awful.
But so I didn't know if you were doing Kevin Klein or if you were doing Michael Palin or both.
Yeah, he's like, the old lady gonna meet with an accident, eh, Ken? Yeah. But anyway, let's put Pi to rest. You want to talk about some of the other Oscar nominations real quick? Or we don't have to be quick. We could be as long as we want.
Really? Should we not have a specific time? I mean, that this...
We can go, we can go as long as we want.
Oh, yeah.
Motherfucker.
Oh, yeah. So we right. You know what? I honestly have not seen enough of the movies. So, I mean, I still have to kind of get caught up. I do want to see Argo. That's the next one that I'm going to see.
Yeah, I haven't seen a lot either.
I don't much care for movies, really.
Oh. But you know what? You do not have to be an avid movie watcher to become a movie snob. I actually did want to talk about that. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're watching one movie a month or one movie every other month or one movie a year. You can still, you can still be a pretentious movie snob.
Sure, yes, you can. And don't be afraid, you kids out there with your Xboxes and your Wiis.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid when you're flipping channels, if you ever do that sort of thing. Do kids flip channels anymore, or they just go through their DVR?
I think they just go through their guide, or they just download everything. They're a bunch of thieves.
When you download a torrent of a black and white film, take a look at it. Black and white doesn't mean bad. It mean when I was a kid, I remember I used to I'm old enough to remember when I had a black and white TV, so everything was in black and white. But I remember going through the channels, and whenever I hit a black and white movie, I would stop and go, "Huh, what's this?" Because I was interested. I had that interest when I was younger about film, I guess. But get into the habit of this. Stop and watch. Give it a few minutes. You might come across something great like Out of the Past with Robert Mitchum.
Oh, yeah.
Or Sunset Boulevard, astonishingly great movie. Double Indemnity.
That's a great movie.
These are great movies. And
there was a Hitchcock movie I just watched, Strangers on a Train. I thought it was very well done.
That's a fantastic film.
Criss Cross. Don't be afraid to stop and watch a black and white movie. And just because it's old, let me tell you something. If you haven't seen it, it's new. Just remember that.
Honestly, and most of the movies are based on those older movies anyway, but they were just, they were done better.
If I have
originally.
a small piece of advice, because any movie, if you look at it, you think, I don't know, watch this black and white. So give it 10 minutes. If the movie can't grab you in 10, give it 10 open-hearted, open-minded minutes. If it can't grab you in that, it's probably a crappy movie or not a movie for you. But if you go in thinking, I'm not going to like this, you're not going to like it because you've already put your mental defenses up and your brain's too tired from all your Xboxing and iPadding and your Reddit threads and your torrenting and your YouPorns and your
RSS feeds.
Yeah, and your deep web stuff. So if you're giving it signals to give up, it's
Deep
ready.
Web. Yeah, don't.
But give it a chance.
You could discover some amazing stuff, and if not, sometimes it's just plain fun to hear the slang of the day, because that was the some of those old movies, especially the noir movies of the 50s. I have a special soft spot for those, but
Can you
some
do
of the dialogue
an
is just
impersonation?
fantastic.
Can you do an impersonation?
There's a line I love in Out of the Past, Robert Mitchum, when his girlfriend who talked him into doing all this horrible stuff, and his, all the femme fatales, they're always talking this poor sap into doing a bunch of stuff and killing people. But she's like, I don't want to die, Jeff. And he's like, I don't want to die either, baby, but if I have to, I'm going to die last. I love lines like that, and but even just in the regular dialogue, this dialogue really reflects the current speech of the day, and it's really fun to hear 40s and 50s, 30s, and can't really hear the 20s so much, but you can hear the 30s and 40s and 50s.
1929.
I have a recommendation. First of all, if you happen to be in an area where they do screen these black and white movies in the theater, I say go and watch it. I think it's a much better experience. I enjoy it so much more in the movie theaters, especially the older ones. But and also one of my favorite movies, it was so funny. I had a friend who was a big movie buff. This was prior to me moving here. And actually he did help me appreciate movies where I never really did. He's the one that introduced me to Star Wars years after they had come out. And he actually got me into film noirs. And one of the best movies I think I had seen, hilarious, was Born to Kill, 1947. Have either of you ever seen this movie yet?
Born to Kill. I'm drawing a
Tierney?
blank on that.
I've only seen it on the big screen at this old theater. I have not seen it since, but that movie was just fantastic. Again, a film noir. So I do recommend that you guys see it again. It's, I think, a woman that, suckers this guy into killing somebody, her husband or whomever. It seems to be a common theme.
What? That's a crazy story.
It's a Robert Wise movie. Yeah.
It is a Robert Wise movie.
Robert Wise is a fantastic director.
He's
Holy
great.
Christ.
Hey, wait a minute. How'd you know that, Kat? You know
Him did.
everything.
I Google real quick.
Him did.
Well, I
Yeah,
recommend
he directed a few noirs early in his career. After he also was the editor
House on
on
Haunted Hill. He did that, didn't
No,
he?
he did.
Didn't he direct House on Haunted Hill or no?
No, he directed The Haunting, which is
Oh, The
based on
Haunting.
the fantastic novel The Haunting of Hill House.
That's right.
Oh,
you
yeah.
are right.
Now, House on Haunted Hill is a ridiculous William Castle thing. It's with Vincent Price. The Haunting is one of the scariest movies ever made.
Oh yeah, it is wonderful. Yeah, do not stay away. Stay away from the newer version, the Jan de
the
Bont
Shonda-
version
yeah.
of The Haunting.
Yeah.
If you see a DVD near you, just step on it and like rub it into the ground so no one else can watch it, and make sure it's scratched, and then throw it away.
You see that could be a bad side effect of the 21st century badassing of Liam Neeson. That people, I'm going to go watch some of those old movies. I'm going to see this The Haunting. It's got to be pretty good. It's got Liam in it. No.
Don't do it. And you can tell right away that, see, the original Haunting, I shouldn't give it away, but you never see any goddamn thing in the way of a ghost. It's all sound effects and things, just situational things that really just make the hair on your neck stand up. If you have hair on your neck, it will stand up. And, I was going to say, Lawrence Tierney is in Born to Kill. I'm really angry that I haven't seen Born to Kill.
Gene, yeah.
Yeah, Lawrence Tierney. He's from Reservoir Dogs. He's a crusty old man who hires everybody. You're not Mr. Purple. Some guy on some other job is Mr. Purple. You're Mr. Pink. But he's great. Died in 2002. Great guy. But I'm gonna watch this one. I'm gonna make it a point. Maybe we'll talk about that. But,
I'm gonna say everybody watch this movie because it's a fantastic movie. I'm gonna try to track it down because this has been maybe 13 years that I've seen it. I saw it on the big screen, and I still am wanting to see this. So, Born to Kill, 1947. Director is Robert Wise, and if you look on IMDb, it's a 7.2 rating.
That's a pretty high rating for considering like Citizen Kane only gets like an 8 or something.
Exactly. And you know what? I'm wrong. It wasn't Gene Tierney. It was Lawrence Tierney.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
You
Lawrence
both
Tierney.
froze on my end.
So I was completely wrong about that.
Good pull, Kimmy. I'm actually excited to see that one because I do have a major soft spot for that type of movie. So I'm going to totally watch that or try to get a hold of it. Kent, can you illegally download that from a torrent for us? And email it to WeTransfer?
Are we saying this?
I work on movies. That's the only. I download movies for my work, but I could probably find a legitimate outlet for you to purchase it.
Yeah, we'll find that
maybe
first.
through an
It might even be on
Amazon.com
Amazon.
affiliate with off of the Pretentious Movie Snobs website once we get that up and running.
Yeah, Netflix streaming. I love the Netflix streaming. Sometimes the Netflix
not on
streaming
that.
pisses me off, though. You might not have noticed this. This is a super first world, first world white guy problem. But the
I love first
any
world problems.
pretentious movie snob problem is say I'm watching like what's the movie with the Michael Crichton movie with the virus from space?
Kent should know this
Oh,
one.
Sphere?
I know
Lord.
it.
No, older one, the Andromeda Strain.
Andromeda Strain, it's a good movie.
I'm watching this and I start noticing that during certain sequences I'm seeing letterboxing, and then the rest of the movie I'm not. This pissed me off. This is a CinemaScope movie, which means it's a very wide rectangle picture, and Netflix is fucking it up because they want to fill those. They want to get for the lowbrows, the little brains out there, the lizard brains who get confused when they see black bars on the top and bottom. What the hell's going on with my TV? They fill the screen. But there are certain scenes in these movies where you need to see everything in the same shot, so they letterbox those, and that pisses me off when they do that. I want to see that goddamn movie in its proper fucking aspect ratio. I know if I tried to explain this and complain about it to someone, some North Korean, they'd be looking at me like, "Do you have any food?"
Yeah, really.
So I have to explain what Netflix is. I have to explain what aspect ratios are first. So I realize this is a first world problem, but
it really is a first world problem. But I have to say this. You know that I was the first originator of Netflix, right? I got to explain this to you. Let's see. I might have been 22 at the time.
Just about a couple years ago.
2 years ago, yes. 2 years ago, I was tired of always having to go to the video store to pick up my movies. So I started a company called Video to Go. And I went to a few different local video stores to see if I can work out a deal with them. But you see, I had thought of it a little differently. where I could deliver the videos directly to the homes of the people so they don't have to leave their home to pick up their movies. And
so you take the porns to the shut-ins. Okay.
Well, needless to say...
And then you'd pick it up in like a hazmat suit. You take with some tongs, you put it in a bag and take it back, and then you put it in an autoclave and put it back on the shelf. Awesome.
Yeah, it's not the safest thing for a young woman in her 20s a couple of years ago to be going to these strange homes. I think the mail order idea was definitely much more effective. But there was a seed, and that made me realize maybe if I had gone a little further with it, who knows?
Was this in the pre-DVD era?
This was definitely pre-DVD. This was totally VHS.
All right.
2 years ago when I was 22.
All right. Well, I'll be part of that class action lawsuit.
Thank you.
If
I'll be
there is
suing
one.
them shortly. So even before I knew I loved movies, I was always involved in movies in one form or another. All right. So what are we going to discuss now?
We want to talk any more about Oscar quick. I wanted to run down some of the Oscars. I just wanted to get
Yes.
you guys' take on just a few of the top ones. I don't give a shit what you guys think is going to win best sound editing.
You're going to say that.
Because those people are freakos that just give themselves awards, but they know what they're doing. I don't know. Strangely enough, I always seem to get sound editing correct on my ballot. I don't know how that happens, but
I never get anything right.
but,
Nobody likes what I like.
So, best picture, we've got this. Oh, let me say it. God damn! If you go to the Oscar, is it the Oscar website? It's like oscar.go.com. I think it's ABC site, but if you go there, they have the listings of the movies there that are nominated, and they'll have a little link that says View Trailer, and you go there, and they have the most dog shit quality video. It looks like Lego video. What the fuck? Who's in charge of this?
I think it would be fantastic if they remade all the trailers in Lego just for the Oscars.
Yeah.
That's an idea now. I want that.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Yeah, they all look like crap. And by the way, this Amour movie, it's a shitty trailer. It's a terrible trailer.
Oh.
That's the Michael Haneke
editing-wise,
movie, right?
Awful. Does not make me at all, and it does not inspire me at all to see the movie. I'm sure it's good. It's nominated. I'd like to see it.
I've only seen one of that director's films, and it made me mad.
It made you angry?
Yeah, because it was a snotty. He said this is going to be ironic, maybe hypocritical. It was pretentious, and I didn't like that. This funny, it was Funny Games. He's an Austrian director, Michael Haneke, and Funny Games it's supposed to be an excoriation of the audience's lust for violence and attraction towards violence in thriller films or in films in general. And I thought that it was just kind of like, I think the most erudite, intelligent way to say it, the whole thing was just a great big duh. It was remade just a few years ago with Tim Roth and Nicole Kidman by Michael Haneke. He redirected it for English audiences. Funny Games.
Was he nominated for Best Redirector?
Yeah. I have a problem with that as well, especially when these movies are, there are subtitles. People can read subtitles, and the same thing happened with what's that one that just was out with Rooney Mara and Daniel Craig?
The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Exactly. Did we need a remake of this?
Well, it was remade by David Fincher, who's one of the finest directors in the world.
He did a great job, but did it need to be done? That's all I'm saying. It was already a fine movie before. It didn't need to be remade, in my opinion. But
I don't know. Did I really need to drink this glass of Kirkland bourbon? I don't know.
Oh, thanks for reminding me. Let me have a sip. Well, okay, let's go back to Oscars. I need to... Silver Linings Playbook, I have not seen this either.
Yeah, based on the titles and what you know of the buzz, what are you thinking here? We've got Amour, we've got Life of Pi, we've got Argo, we've got Lincoln, we've got Beasts of the Southern Wild, we've got Silver Linings Playbook, we've got Django Unchained, Zero Dark 30, and Les Miserables.
Okay, I know it's not going to win.
Did I say that right? What?
Les Mis isn't going to win.
I don't think so.
Django's not going to win. Zero Dark 30's not going to win. And the Southern Beasts of the Wild at Heart's not going to win.
So we're really talking
I think
about
this move
Lincoln.
they did in the last 6 years, to expand the nomination field to 10 films, is just boring.
I don't like that myself.
Makes it a mouthful. It makes it less important. Not that it's actually important. This is all just advertising and marketing.
Yeah,
but
you're right.
still, it means now it's just not as cool.
No,
it was never cool, but yeah.
There was actually people can look this up with the magic of the internet these days. But there was a study done about people, like when you go to the store and you see 80 different types of deodorant, you really are like completely dumbfounded and like, oh, people that have too much choice actually are less happy than people who, when you narrow it down to 3, you're like, okay, because you're worried that you didn't make the right choice because you've got all these different
the more
things.
choice you have, the more worries you have. It's like having too much money.
Did you listen to that TED.com?
No.
There's some presenter or some speaker that speaks about that same issue about we've been given too many choices now, and it's paralyzing us.
That person might have written the article I read. This was years ago, but it might have been by the same person because I did. It was an interesting concept, and I've experienced this too. This constipation when you're walking down the aisle at the grocery store.
I think that was a Malcolm Gladwell talk.
Which bowel stool softener should I buy? Oh my God! What if I get the wrong one?
Exactly. Can I say with the movies, is anyone else surprised that Django Unchained did get a Best Picture nod? I didn't think that it would.
I'm not surprised. Quentin is he always gets a little bit of a nod in the Academy Awards. They always throw him a bone. I mean, didn't Inglourious Basterds get nominated? Pulp Fiction was nominated too, right? They usually win Best Screenplay or something.
But I don't think he got. Yeah, I don't even think. Well, director, he's not listed for that, so he's not going to. Yeah, which is interesting.
Well, it came out in December, so I think they're obligated to nominate it.
Special codicil in the Academy Constitution that says if it came out in December, it's going to be nominated. But
it's basically if we vote in January, we only vote for movies we remember from the last month.
That's smart.
So Argo, I basically think Lincoln's pretty much going to win. Just looking at the rest, I'm like, it's going to be Lincoln. I'd like to see Life of Pi. Love to see Django win. I think Lincoln's going to take it. Shoe in, my left shoe in for Daniel Day-Lewis.
That's nice. Nice tie-in.
I mean, really, I think his performance as Lincoln was one of the best performances I've ever seen on film, and I think it's going to go down as one of those Olivier Hamlet type of things because he was so phenomenal in that. He's really great. He's
terrific actor.
Going to win.
I'm not an enormous fan of Olivier's Hamlet.
I actually am not either.
I think Richard Burton, I saw a video of him doing it, is much better.
Wait a minute.
I don't like his Henry V either.
Yeah,
I think he did better when he was older, frankly, like Marathon Man. But anyway.
What? So you guys don't think Argo can? I mean, I would be surprised, but I think it's still possible that Argo might win.
I know it doesn't happen. It used to happen that if it was almost a lock, and I'm probably wrong about this. If I did a statistical study, I'd probably find I'm wrong. That if you won Best Director, you got Best Film, and if you have your film nominated but you're not nominated, you're not getting it. Mm-hmm. But that's just of course everything. It could all change at any moment. There's no way to really know anything anywhere.
And Argo is kind of seen
in
some. Argo is kind of seen in some corners as being a little bit pro-America and pro-CIA. So Hollywood will not vote for that. They'll say fuck that shit. Beast of the Southern Wild. I didn't see it. Heard it was great. But yeah, it's probably going to be Lincoln. Yeah. Well, how about actor? Well, we just said Daniel Day-Lewis probably a shoe-in for that.
Bradley Cooper? Is he Oscar ready yet?
Yeah, I don't think so. I did not see Silver Linings Playbook. He's too hunky to be there yet. He needs to ugly up a little bit and look like he's more serious at this acting thing.
Let's do like a Charlize Theron monster thing. I don't think men have to do that.
They don't.
It's only women who have to get Uggs to get the awards.
Yeah.
And I wholeheartely approve.
I'm excited about the host of the Oscars.
Just like humiliation.
Who's hosting?
It's going to be none other than Seth MacFarlane, the creator of the Family Guy.
That's a good choice.
I think it's a great choice, yes.
He's going to be a little irreverent, I think.
I think there's going to be appearances from Stewie and Brian. I think they're going to be...
you think they're going to make pop culture references in lieu of actually telling jokes?
Mm-hmm. I think so.
Oh, he's going to insult some people. I love it. Seth MacFarlane... That's an interesting, they've been trying to find somebody for a while. I mean, last year was really pretty sad with Anne Hathaway, and I do not like him.
Was that last year or was that the year before? I think that was 2 years ago.
You're right.
Because
so who
because
did
I
it
saw
last
that.
year?
I don't know. You know what? I'd like to announce
Was it
as a
you?
pretentious movie snob that I did not watch half a second of the last Oscars. I missed the entire thing. I didn't care. I sat at home doing. I was reading. I didn't care. I don't know why.
I watched it from Paris.
I didn't know you read.
Oh, because I have children and I didn't see any of the nominated movies, so I'm starting to come out and try to see more. But yeah, I didn't see any.
What won last year?
I don't know who hosted. Was it Billy Crystal? Who was it?
It was Billy Crystal. It was
Okay.
Billy Crystal. He came back, and I think he
All
did
right.
a great job because
sure
James
he did.
Franco was just pitiful, and
Yeah.
he was just half-assing it.
Yeah, I don't.
But
I
Anne
don't
Hathaway
have.
tried.
I guess because I didn't watch Freaks and Geeks when it was first on, I have no positive feeling towards James Franco whatsoever.
Thank you. Something about him is overrated. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure he's a talented actor.
Well, he
but
sleepwalks through everything.
thank you. That's what it seems like.
Yeah, the Oz the Great and Powerful looks kind of cool, but he doesn't look very good in that necessarily. He just looks like he's
He's phoning in his performances. That's what it seems like. But
I
might
think
be
it's
wrong.
as you mentioned, the Oz the Great and Powerful. I think it's too bad.
But
it's
if
been
he wants to
5
come on the
years
show,
since
we'd
we've
love
seen
to
a
have
Sam
him.
Raimi movie.
Would we really?
Sure.
He seems like he's actually a cool, kind of down to earth regular guy. But as a performer, I don't think there are people that really care about this and want this really badly. And he's like, oh, I had homework to do the night before, so I'm really kind of out of it for the Oscars. Sorry,
Yeah.
He doesn't care, and you know what? That's his thing. That's fine.
That's his thing. He's the guy who doesn't care.
Mm-hmm.
Best actress in a leading role.
That's who I was in my first marriage,
I didn't
by the
see
way.
any of the movies. I don't think.
Well, this Jessica Chastain, everyone seems to love her. I didn't watch Zero Dark 30 yet, or that little girl. There's like the 7-year-old girl that's up for an Oscar.
Is that
right?
from the Wild Southern Beast?
that
The
the-
Wild South?
Yeah, the Beast of the Southern Wild.
Shane,
Yeah.
Yes.
Shane. I don't know.
Kuvanjani
Okay.
Wallace or whatever. Yes, and Naomi Watts, and then Jennifer Lawrence, who I think I'd mentioned to you before, thinks that this whole acting thing is stupid, or the attention they give to actors, but
I like
they
Jennifer
seem to
Lawrence.
like her. Huh?
I like Jennifer Lawrence.
Do you just
like
because
to
she
see- I think
looks
hope
she's a
pretty?
natural performer. She was actually really good in the Hunger Games, and and she fills out a tight lycra bodysuit really well. She was also Mystique in X-Men First Class, so
Yeah.
she was just blue and naked. That's
So
not bad.
is it her acting ability that we're speaking of right now that warrants the Oscar, or is it the type?
Yeah,
the tight outfit?
I think she's very talented and has big.
She was good in Winter's Bone. I believe she was in that as well. Correct.
Yes,
Yeah, she
that
was-
was her
yeah,
break.
Winter's Bone was good,
Yeah,
breakout
Boney
movie.
Winter. Yeah,
Yeah.
Boney Winter.
Boney. I'm
Ken,
tired.
I'd appreciate it if
It's
you wouldn't
11:04.
drag this podcast down into the gutter.
Yeah, I'm doing PG-13 sort of stuff here.
And
It's
then
immature, but yeah.
If you don't like this podcast, you could just drop it off at the fire department with no questions asked. You don't have to don't throw it in the trash can. There's a safe drop for a podcast too. It's at the fire station. Anyway,
That's
you know,
great.
I spent
Wait,
so many
there's
nights there.
Naomi Watts is also in there as for The Impossible, which I haven't watched either, and Emmanuel Riva in Amour, and again.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank on that one. I'd like to see the little girl get it. I don't know why, but if Jennifer Lawrence gets it, I think she should probably give it to like a Native American person, like Marlon Brando did.
Oh yeah,
No,
I
no,
can
she
see
thinks
that.
it's all stupid.
Yeah, she should do like the Fiona Apple at the VMA Awards in 1997, I think.
Did,
What did she do?
oh.
Did she do
Reference
that too?
only I get, yay. She went on stage and was drunk and said, "This whole world is crap." Or I think she used stronger language than that, but again, I'm PG-13.
Well, here's my issue with the
No.
leading actresses. Really, a lot of these actresses are quite new. I don't know about Emmanuel Riva. I can't speak to her. Jessica Chastain, new, quote unquote new, because she's just kind of breaking into this whole, making a name for herself now. And this young 7-year-old, and then Jennifer Lawrence. I mean, Naomi Watts seems like she might be the person that has the most experience. I don't know about Emmanuel Riva. I can't
Yeah,
speak to
but
her.
Naomi Watts is getting old.
But she's
Well,
yeah,
It's been
I
like
guess
a
she's the-
decade since she's been at her prettiest.
In the HD generation here, you hit 26, you're done. Goodbye.
Yeah.
See you later, crow's feet.
If
we don't need you.
Wow.
So I think so goes the Oscar nominations for chicks. Dudes, they don't seem to care, which is good.
Now you
know,
could be
thank
Tommy
God.
Lee Jones. You could be like a living topographical map.
Do you?
Yeah.
That's a big topographical. Do you remember? It reminds me of Steve Martin when he had hosted and he was just so beautiful about it, where he was talking about the Oscars honoring the young, the old, and the ancient, or something like that. And I think the young was like this, young kid. And then I think when you got to old, it was Dakota Fanning. Exactly. And it's true. You really do. There's an expiration date, especially for women. And that's why I do respect someone like Meryl Streep, who has aged gracefully over the years. What I love about Meryl, even though she isn't here, like if she were here, then there would be no question as to who was winning the Oscar. But she was beautiful, and she's a beautiful woman. But
I think she looks kind of surgery free, or if she is doing it, she's doing it correctly and getting only a occasional nip tuck here or there. I don't know what she's doing, but she looks good.
I think she's au naturel, and even though when she was younger, she was beautiful young, but she didn't play upon that. She really did play upon her strengths as an actress, and she didn't go the bombshell route, and I respect her for that. And to be able to age gracefully, play these middle-aged characters with the movies she's done recently, I just think she's phenomenal. So yeah.
All right. Well, best let's go best actor in a supporting role. I'm gonna get through these. I want to hear what you guys say about the supporting role. I got a problem with Christoph Waltz being in supporting role. I think Django was kind of a dual lead situation. It really kind of was two guys. But Lethal Weapon.
Whenever
Amadeus,
that happens,
they had two lead actors.
I think that tends to confuse the nomination process, and then they say he's maybe a lead, so that means he's supporting.
Well, the movie is called
It ain't
Django.
Science.
The movie is called
title
Django.
Character. I think Christoph Waltz has more dialogue. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, he's for supporting actor up against De Niro and Philip Seymour Hoffman.
What did De Niro get nominated for?
Topographical Mac Lee Jones, and I think that's it, right? Yeah. So who do we like there? I'd like to see Christoph Waltz, obviously, but
Alan
he's
Arkin?
won before.
Yeah, but why not win?
Oh, Alan
twice?
Arkin, right? Yes, from Argo.
I think Alan Arkin needs to retroactively lose his Oscar for Little Miss Sunshine, so he can't win now.
I think I would agree with that. De Niro. Who do we want to see win, really?
And I don't want anything good to happen to De Niro. He's squandered all of his goodwill on so many terrible movies that I just want him, for no good reason. He gave so many great performances when he's younger. I should be just grateful that those exist, but I'm not. I want him to suffer.
Tommy Lee Jones. I want to see him take the Oscar. I want to hear him say something like, I don't have anything, but I want to hear what he has to say up there, and I'd like to see that.
So is it not? This is not based on his merits, but you just want to hear what he has to say if he were to win.
All these guys are in this category because they are good enough to win.
So how old?
I would like
is
to see
he?
him win, actually, just
he,
as a personal favorite thing.
Would Tommy Lee Jones have to be wheeled up there, or? I mean, the dude looks like an ent. He's ancient.
An ent. Wow.
What's an ent?
Those are the tree people in the Lord of the Rings movie.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. They live in Fangorn. They're not hasty.
Let's move on to actress in a supporting role.
Yeah, actress in supporting role. Amy Adams in The Master, Sally Field in Lincoln, Anne Hathaway, Les Miserables. She lost a lot of weight for that. They like that, the Academy.
Yeah, they do.
Helen Hunt in The Sessions gets naked. Got naked to get an Oscar, so maybe they'll give that to her.
Wow.
Jackie Weaver.
I don't know. Do we need a Helen Hunt? We've got a Lily Sobieski. We've got a younger one.
Yeah, we got a younger Helen Hunt. You're right.
Yeah,
they look exactly the same. Have you ever seen the two of them in the same room at the same time? No.
In that case, they probably will give it to Helen Hunt, because usually Best Supporting Actress means here's your Oscar, don't fucking come back until way later. Yeah, for what's her name from My Cousin Vinny, who I love, I adore.
That was no. She was not supposed to win. That.
She was great.
I'm not saying Marissa Tomei isn't a great is a good actress, but I think that was an accident. I still believe that.
No, she was really remarkable in The Bedroom. That was a movie. I don't know.
Tom Wilkinson.
Yeah, the Tom Wilkinson movie with the other actors whose names.
Sissy Spacek. Yeah,
Sissy Spacek. Yeah, and Marissa Tomei was the
Tom
younger.
something wrote that. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, that's the guy who is a pianist in Eyes Wide
Tom
Shut.
Sizemore, which was amazing to me that he could write them.
It wasn't Tom Sizemore. No. But can I say...
no.
That's a tough one.
This
yes,
is the fifth time I've done that joke. I got to stop.
I got to stop just saying, "Can I say?" That's what I have to stop doing.
I think
But
Anne Hathaway or Helen Hunt. I can't decide. One of them is going to get.
well, she lost a lot of weight, so so Sally Field. Is it just me? But Amy Adams, I don't want to say there's a lot of hype. I like her as a person, like as a character from what I've seen, but I've never really seen her as an acting powerhouse. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I haven't seen her in what is that fighting one? The fighter. The boxing one with
is that her? Because I'm totally drawing a blank on who I'm totally
Christian
drawing a blank
Bale.
on who she is.
And
the
Yeah,
fighter,
it's the fighter. Yeah.
it is the fighter. But I don't know. I know people like her, but I don't know yet. I like her as a person. So who do you think?
know.
I honestly
you're
couldn't
thinking
care
Anne?
less.
I'll say Anne Hathaway, just because she lost a lot of weight. How about Best Animated Feature? I'm kind of rooting for Wreck-It Ralph just because my favorite comic, Adam Carolla, is in it. I love Adam Carolla. I actually want to take a moment to where we can just talk about how great Adam Carolla is so that he might hear it and eventually like our show and we might get onto the Ace Broadcasting
But don't you
Network.
think that sort of obvious kiss-assery is the sort of thing that would just turn him off?
No, he likes to hear how great he is.
Oh,
if
okay.
we mean it, I think the guy's great.
Dave?
And Kent listens to his podcast too. The guy is as far as
he's a talent.
improvisational comedy go, holy Christ, no one could keep up with this guy. He's amazing. He is a comedic genius in my opinion. So anyway,
Dave, did you want to mention Adam Carolla's name by any chance?
no, I don't think that's necessary.
Okay.
But Wreck-It Ralph, he has a small role in that, so I'd like to see that win, just because Anyway,
Adam
Paranorman
Carolla.
I didn't see any of these. Kent?
I am a big fan of animated movies. You can tell because I call them animated movies and I never call them cartoons. I didn't see any of them.
Oh, good, great.
I have like a go home team rooting interest in Paranorman because I love the studio. They previously made Coraline, which is a great movie. I haven't seen Paranorman. I've heard middling things about it. I like the Blu-ray of Brave is 5 feet away from me as I speak, but I haven't watched it yet, and I haven't heard very good things about that either. I'll go with Wreck-It Ralph too because it's about video games, and I'm a colossal geek.
You are, Kent. You are. And he's putting on that chapstick again.
Keep my lips moist.
Well, you know what? It's already we're quite past an hour long here, and I don't want to listen to much. I don't want to listen to this again. 80, 90 minutes of stuff in order to edit it. So I think.
Well, yeah, you've got to edit it down to about 23
Okay, bye.
minutes.
Gotta go. No. Okay.
Maybe we can wrap it up, and we had some fantastic things to talk about, but I think we should save them for next week. There was this article about Django that was completely retarded by this British guy who's an author.
Yeah,
and we want to talk about how stupid he was.
And there was
about killing being comical these days.
Right.
We think he doesn't know how to watch movies and he's a moron. We're going to talk about that next time.
And I just want to know, one of the things when we were initially discussing what we wanted to do in this podcast, and I was adamant I didn't want to do any sort of celebrity news, anything about like Kim Kardashian, anything about Lindsay Lohan.
And you say the names right there.
So anyway, I read this really great article about Lindsay Lohan, and I'd like to bring it up next week because it's about the modern filmmaking scene. And Paul Schrader and Bret Easton Ellis trying to make a movie with Lindsay Lohan, self-funded.
Why are they trying? I mean, wasn't she just caught drinking and driving yet again?
Well, they made the movie a year ago.
No. Oh, okay. They made it.
Yeah, it was.
Right, so that's a good. Yeah. So that's a tease for next week.
That's right.
Everybody's writing down on their little notepad Lindsay Lohan next week.
And if we tease something for next week, that guarantees we're not going to talk about it.
Right.
And that other major thing that really happened that'll change all of our lives forever, but we'll save that for next week too. That
excellent.
Big thing.
So let's. Well, I hope we've sufficiently put our collective weight on it. I wanted to say too that with our talk about the movie snobbery, if we can just turn one person into a movie snob, it will be a complete waste of time because we need like millions of you to be snobs.
This
one
has
is
been
no
like
good.
2 hours out of our lives already.
Yeah, throw us a freaking bone here. So anyway, good. I think we've sufficiently. I think we've done enough damage here. We can sign off, and we're now on iTunes, folks. So look for us on iTunes. I think it's under I think I called it Le Podcast du Pretentious Movie Snobs, just to be extra pretentious and stupid. So you can find it that way.
It's pretty important that we make it difficult to find, because it's for the most discerning audiences. You need to work for your
if you see
entertainment.
the PMS logo, that does not mean premenstrual syndrome. That means Pretentious Movie Snobs. So if you see that, the red logo, follow the red PMS sign to our podcast. And we also have a voicemail number that you could call. I'll give it out, 562-666-2067. Give us a jingle, and if you're amusing, we'll put you on the show. We'll play it, and we'll react to whatever you're saying. If you're calling us idiots, that's all the better.
And if you're embarrassing, we'll put out your contact information.
Yes.
Can you repeat that number again in your announcer voice to make sure they got that?
I'm glad you asked that, Kimmy. It's 562-666-2067. Once again, 562-666-2067. 562-666-2067.
Awesome.
Operators are not standing by.
Fast. Operators are picking their noses and waiting till 9 so they can get off, and they're waiting for their cigarette break. So drop us an email if you like to at pretentiousmoviesnobs@gmail.com. And like you said, check out explodedgoat.com. Kent's over there, and the Nappy Wanderer, Kimberly Blagrove, and you can also find some other stuff that I did at trailersnob.blogspot.com, although I haven't put anything up there lately, but I plan to. Well, this has been Dave Smith,
Kent Conrad,
and Kimberly Blagrove.
And we are still going to be the Pretentious Movie Snobs next time you tune in, I hope. Trying to
Adam
think
Carolla.
of any. And download the Adam Carolla podcast too, and tell him that we sent you.
Benedict Cumberbatch.